Hello everyone, it is Monday, February 1st, 2021, and as promised, a grading video. Now this grading video isn't going to be deeply detailed. This is going to be a fairly fast grading video just to kind of show you the tools that I use when grading a book and the things that you should have, the basics you should have when you grade a book to help you become a better grader. Now my grading standards, if you're here from Las Vegas like I am, my reputation in the Valley is that my grading standards to a lot of people are really strict, a lot more strict than they should be. I just believe in being honest with your grades, and I've said that in videos before. In order to be a good grader and in order to be a respected member of the community who sells books and who does things in the comic book community, you want a reputation of being a fair grader because people will not haggle with your grades and they will trust you when you grade a book. So we are going to look at the book today, which is an Iron Man number 7 from 1968. Right away, you can see that the cover presents very well. They talk about cover presentation and reflectability. The cover on this is bright. The colors are sharp. The yellows are really yellow. The red in Iron Man's suit pops. And like I said, his yellow is really bright. So if we look at the cover of the book, now I'm grading this upside down because I wanted to be able to get the book on the video right so you can see it and not be trying to look at it upside down from your perspective. So what you're doing is I'm looking at the spine. The spine looks really nice. There's not a whole lot of issues with the spine. A couple of small spine creases that have a little bit of a color break, but this book again is 53 years old, 52 years old, so that's kind of expected on that. And you can also see that here where the one is kind of, you have pretty much a miswrap on the book a little bit. Now depending on the severity of the miswrap, a lot of grading companies don't take a whole lot away from that. So I'm going to take a look at it. We'll look at it together. And looking at the rest of the book, small blunted corner there, sharp corner, but you have a little bit of chipping up here, what is called Marvel chipping. That was normal during that time frame. You have a small crease here and here, and then on the edge of the book, again, you have a little bit of chipping here and a little bit of chipping there, but overall, a really nice cover and a book that is, for the most part, very pleasing to the eye, which is important when you are selling books. So I'm going to flip this over real carefully. Now, I do have a pair of white cotton gloves. I've talked about white cotton gloves. I prefer to use white cotton gloves when I'm doing Golden Age, early silver, very high condition key books, and then anything pre-code, because paper quality is very soft and the acid on your fingers really soaks up in those older pages. Now, I washed my hands really good before I did this video, so I'm not having much of an issue. Now, getting back to the book, if you look here, you can kind of see the miswrap right there. Not a terrible miswrap. I've seen a lot more, but it is miswrapped. But again, that's not considered a huge defect. If you're looking at the rest of the book here, not a whole lot of issues. A little bit of a spine, a little bit of a corner blunting right there and a small little crease there. A little bit of blunting there. But overall, the book looks pretty good. The next thing what I'll do on the back cover, because it's hard to do this on a cover where there's a lot of color, is I am going to use my OWL card. Now, if you're not using an OWL card, you are not grading properly. So what I like to do is I will lay the card on the book. Here, you can do it where you have a lot of areas. And we're going to say that this is bright here, so this is probably going to fall into the 9 area, which is not quite white, but it's certainly not off-white, so it kind of falls in the middle there. You can slide it over to the edge of the book. It still falls into that area. If you come up here to the edge, you look at it there. Now you're talking up here on the upper part of the book. You're probably falling just off the off-white, but for the most part, this book is going to fall into what they call the off-white section. Once again, we're going to flip the book over carefully. And now we're going to look at the pages inside. Again, I'm doing this upside down, so just kind of bear with me. Interior page there. Looks really good. We're just making sure that everything is good to go on this. This is just a little bit of printer issue. Not a huge defect on the book. Grading companies really don't take a whole lot off of that as well. So we're going to just look at the book again. Love the old advertisements. Again, just trying to be careful with the book here. Really nice page quality again. You can see the page quality. It's really, really nice. I love the old t-shirt ads from there. Never ordered a t-shirt from a comic book. Did any of you order t-shirts from the comic books? I never did. So you can come here. We're sitting here basically on page 8 of the story. You can drop this Al card again. Get an idea of where the page quality sits. Your page quality, again, is still sitting in that little better than off-white, but not quite white area. So you're still sitting really strong page quality on this book. There's a real nice, you know, Cheerio Kid advertisement for Cheerios from 1968. Here we go here, just looking at this again. Again, really, really nice book. Here we are at the centerfold. As you can see the staples right here. The staples are attached. What I'm doing is not hurting the book, but you can see the staples are attached. The centerfold is tight to the staples. Slide this over a little bit. Again, what I'm doing is not hurting the book. I know people sit there and say, oh, again, my grading surface is a very clean grading surface and nothing is going to happen to the book. Look at the pages again on here again. Really nice page quality on that. We're just making sure that the book is complete. There are no coupons missing because kids love cutting out the Sea Monkey coupons for that. There's a couple of page ads right there. There's Iron Man fighting the Gladiator. There's that. That. Back of the book. You are getting a little bit of tanning here. So you put the card right there. You're now falling into that probably a little bit better than a 5 range to about a 6 on that. The L card will give you that, but for the most part, this book is really, really nice. Now, I have flipped this book over again. Here. Now, you can wipe this book off one of two ways. I always like to do a little wipe off when I've looked at the book. You can use a non-scented tissue. I use Puffs Ultra Soft, non-scented. You can take the book here, and you can just slightly go over it. Doesn't do anything to the book. You're getting whatever little dust particles or something that's on there when you had the book out. Really easy like that to clean the book. Or you can use this tool here. This is a very fine bristle brush. You can see here. It also has air that comes out of it. You can hear the air, and you can slightly, gently brush areas of the book, very slightly, very light, to get that off. It doesn't cause any damage to the book. There you have it. So looking at this book, now I've done this a long time, so I know my grading standards, but if you wanted to look at the grading standards, you can use the Overstreet Grading Standard Price Guide. This gives you all the information you need for whatever grade you want. So, let's see what we got here. Where's the 7.5? Kind of looks like in the grades, it'll tell you grade description here. Also tells you what each area of the book that you're grading should look like. And then it gives you very good photographs of books in the grades that you're talking about. Now, we talked about those miswraps. You can see the miswrap here on this book here is about the same as our book. Now, this book, they said, graded out a fine, very fine, which is a 7.0. Now, I feel that with the defects that I showed on this book, that I've seen, even with the strong page quality, I am going to shoot for a 6.5 on this book. So what I would do, and I'm going to have it this way because I can't read upside down, so I would go to the 6.5 area and I would look at some of the things here. Now they say that this can have a minor spine roll, which this doesn't have a minor spine roll. The spine is very tight on that, and there can also be a 1/8 spine split on this. This doesn't have that. There's a couple of little spine stress marks, so we're going to say that falls into that section there. Minimal wear beginning to show on the cover exterior. Corners, inks show moderate to major reduction of reflectability. I've always had reflectivity. I've always had a hard time with that word. I don't know why. So you can look at it there. We didn't fall into that because this book is extremely bright, and it presents very, very well. The staples were not loose. The centerfold was not loose. But again, you had some issues with the book that we talked about, which was right down here on the bottom of the spine, the corners, a couple of the corners right there, and then the miswrap. So a lot of people can say this is a 7.75. I'm going to say this book is a 6.5. That's what I'm going to give it, a 6.5. So what I would do, and I already had one prepped and ready to go. This was like we've talked about in the past, a double Golden Age and a single half-back board. Now I'm going to take this book, I am going to put it in a piece of Mylar. It's ready to go. There is your final product right there. And again, you can put a sticky note on this. Would look similar to something like this. Just basically has, the book grade, the year of the book, and I would stick that on the back. Inside similar to something like that. So you just know what it is, and I put the date of the grading of the book on there. So there is that there. There is your book right there, graded 6.5. Like I said, a lot of people might think that I undergraded that book, but I am very honest with my grades. I want people to come in, buy a book, and say, you know what, I'm very happy with that book. Now, some of the things you're going to want in your grading kit: white cotton gloves, which we talked about. I like these little brushes. You can find these at Hobby Lobby. They're like $2, $2.99. It is a must. Some tissue. And again, I use Puffs Ultra Soft, non-scented. You don't want anything scented on that tissue because it can pull off on the book itself. There are people who like to clean the books a little bit, the white portions of the book. If you do that, you use this pen here. I don't do that a lot, but there are times where people like to do things like that. That's an old trick right there, but you got to be real careful with that because you can damage your book if you don't know what you're doing. Owl card, which is a must for anybody. And then I have my little go-to book here. This is just a grading standard book that I have that I like. And what it is it gives me other companies' grading standards. This here is CBCS, their grading standards for the different grades. I have comicspriceguide.com grading standards. They'll break it all down here, what they agree to. Nostromania, their grading standards here. Everybody has a little bit different grading standard. Mile High Comics grading standards. I never really agree with Mile High because they use a lot of stock photos with things. And then Overstreet grading criteria. Now the reason I don't download the CGC grading criteria is because since they teamed up with Overstreet, they should be using the Overstreet grading standards, which we talked about a little bit earlier with this book here. Boom, that one there. So we'll see what happens. But again, everybody knows my feelings on CGC grading. I think that their standards are way off. And like I stated, if you're going to be grading books for any amount of time, don't try to grade a ton of books in one day. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grade a small number of books, anywhere from 8 to 14 books in a day, because your eyes get tired. When your eyes get tired, you may miss things that you should be seeing, and you don't want to do that, because you don't want to go back and, look at a book that you graded, after grading 50 books one day, and you gave it an 8.0, and then you go back another time and you look at it and you find out that you missed a bunch of stuff and it's actually a 6.0. So don't try to rush to grade books. You do 8 to 12 a day, 8 to 15 a day. I like to keep within the 5 to 10 book range. Again, I can grade really fast because it doesn't take a lot. You can look at the books. There is also a black light you can use to look at a book. I'm going to turn this light off for a second. The black light, if you have a book that has color touch-up and you run a black light over it, it will glow where the color touch-up was. That's the secret right there. It is a cheap way of doing it. So a black light, doesn't have to be a fancy black light, just any black light. This was like $3 and it works really, really well for that. But try that. If you have an old book, put a little color on it, put a black light on it in the dark, and you'll see it glow. That's how you can tell if there's been a color touch-up. Because the naked eye doesn't always see color touch-up. Anybody who tells you they see it with the naked eye, quite frankly, I don't believe them, and they are lying. If you're not using a black light to look for color touch-up, you're missing color touch-up. So there was that. Again, this was a real quick video as it relates to grading. Again, my standards are fairly straightforward. I'm looking for damage. Does it have good eye appeal? Is it real dirty? Is it bright? Does it reflect good light? How much damage is actual there, physical damage that you can see? And then you come out with a really good grade. And quite frankly, I've been doing this a long time. I've graded more books than I like to remember, and I have very seldom had any complaints on my grading standards. As a matter of fact, there are people who only buy books from me when I sell, strictly because of my grading standards, and they know they're going to get the book that they paid for. So there was that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I will do another video. We have new comic book day coming out on Wednesday. I'm going to do another video at that time. So again, if you have any questions about anything that we touched bases on today, just leave me a message and I'll reply back to you. I always do. And I will try to do a more detailed video down the road. But again, this was just something real quick to try to give you a little glimpse inside my grading mind. So there was that. So I hope you liked the video, but as always, if you didn't, nothing I can do for you. Have a really, really great night, safe night, and happy hunting on New Comic Book Day.